All right, Stephen A., are the Bengals done this season?
I think so. I'm saying it's over because of the health of Joe Burrow.
To describe him in any other way besides injury prone at this point would just be disingenuous.
Up to this point, the Bengals haven't treated his injuries with the level of concern that I think other teams would.
Listen, so many changes in this Bengals offense this offseason. Do you have any concern this offense is going to take a step back?
As long as number 9 is there and healthy, I have the same level of concern that Marcus won't be using the word damn in a broadcast.
Because they in the damn AFC, man.
On the practice field, Burrow returning from a torn wrist ligament that needed surgery in November. Looks like he'll be available for the offseason program.
Super Bowl or bust. Like, this is not a good time to be Super Bowl or bust in the AFC.
Super Bowl or bust because we the only one have Patrick Mahomes' number. Joe the only one beat him 2 times at home.
The Cincinnati Bengals are one of the teams in the NFL that have realistic Super Bowl aspirations. Sure, everyone would love to compete for a championship. However, there are only a handful of teams that really have a chance at winning the Lombardi Trophy, as well as the QB, in order to complement said team. And of course, they have one in Joe Burrow, and he is obviously coming off of an injury. And despite that though, they are some people's favorite to make it out of the AFC North, which is stacked, by the way. There is no room for any mistakes in this AFC North because right now the Bengals have the 6th ranked strength of schedule in the NFL, and that could change during the season. Some teams may not be as good as advertised, but right now the Bengals are arguably in the best division in football with a crazy hard schedule. There is no time to have a slow start and try to play catch up like they have in the past. So we're going to talk about this Bengals team and why I believe they will be a contender this season, as well as some of the most common questions surrounding this team. But make sure that you guys like, comment, and also subscribe to the channel. And with that, let's get into this video. So the Bengals have had a few issues over the years, but after the 2020 draft, things would change. They found what many teams in the NFL have been searching for many years now, and that is a franchise quarterback. Joe Burrow is the exact kind of player that Bengal fans have been hoping for. We have seen him have great seasons so far in his career, along with a Super Bowl appearance, but it has not all been great with this QB's career, with 2 of his 4 seasons ending in injury. In November 22nd, 2020, he suffered an ACL tear, and this past year, November 16th, he tore a ligament in his throwing wrist. During that time, they have been doing their best to fix some of the offensive line issues, but it really hasn't shown the results that they have hoped for. Even with that being the case, there are some reasons why fans should be hopeful with this Bengals team this year. First, looking at some of the moves they made this offseason, and I don't think we can start this talk off without first talking about T. Higgins. Him signing the franchise tag was one of the most important moves for the Bengals this season. And some people make the argument even without T. Higgins, the Bengals will still be a very good team, and I do agree with that. However, T. Higgins makes everybody's job easier. You cannot tell me that this team is just better without him. Would they be okay without him? Sure, but to say that this team would be better without T. Higgins, without him opening up the floor for a guy like Jamar Chase and making defenses pick and choose between who they're going to cover during a specific play, would be idiotic. And in my opinion, the Bengals have the best wide receiver duo in the league, hands down. You can throw in Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. You can throw in Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. All of these guys are contenders as well. However, from a pure talent perspective, I'm taking Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Last year, Higgins had only 656 yards and 5 touchdowns after coming off of a 1,000-yard season the year before. However, there's good reason for this. 1, he only played 12 games last year. 2, Joe Burrow missed some time as well, so he was missing the main man at QB. And when you're playing next to a guy like Jamar Chase, sometimes the volume in your numbers can be hard to come by. With that being said though, he averaged a career high in yards per catch. So that tells me that the production is still there and he's doing what he has always done. He just did not have the same opportunities like he had in that 1,000-yard season. Next, let's talk about another move that they made made this offseason a move that I think will fly under the radar until the start of the season, and that is their acquisition of running back Zach Moss. Not only is Zach Moss a solid running back, he is on a team-friendly deal at just $8 million over the next 2 years. Is he one of the best running backs in the league? No, he is not, but he is a guy who can run downhill and help the passing game if the Bengals commit to the run and don't give up on it too early. And speaking of the run game, a guy that they just signed who could help the run game as well as the passing game is the 4-year, $64 million man himself, Orlando Brown. One of the issues with the Bengals throughout Joe Burrow's career has been the tackle position, and this fills a much needed role for the Bengals as it was clearly a priority, and they did exactly what they set out to do this offseason. Other notable moves include Shelton Rankins and Geno Stone, two guys who could slide into their positions and give quality production. And with that, let's kind of slide over and move on to the NFL draft, because I want to talk about their first 3 picks because I think they did a fantastic job in day 1 and day 2. The rest of the draft can be kind of shaky and kind of a guessing game and some luck as well. So we're going to talk about the first 3 picks, and maybe they hit on some of those other picks, only time will tell. But I think these first 3 guys can give them some much needed production. And with their first pick, they once again addressed the offensive line, drafting Maurice Mims, an offensive tackle from the University of Georgia. He's standing at 6'7", 340 pounds. The guy is a monster in terms of size. You can't teach 6'7", 340. That's all I'm saying. He helped the Bulldogs become the #1 offensive line in the SEC. He's super athletic with high upside. I think he's going to turn into one of the better offensive linemen in this draft. The second pick, they took Chris Jenkins, who is coming off of a national championship with Michigan. Underrated in my opinion. That Michigan D-line did a fantastic job against a Washington offensive line who was rated the best in the country. So you look in Chris Jenkins, who was a part of that, standing in at 6'3", 300 pounds, another guy who is athletic with great upside. With the first 2 picks, the Bengals did a great job drafting the guys who had the things that you simply cannot teach, and that is size at their positions. The rest of that, hopefully the coaches can go in and fix any issues, add to the skill set that these young guys do not have right now. And so with that being said, this next pick does not necessarily have the size of your typical wide receiver, but a lot of times at wide out, if a guy's a dog, it really won't matter. So with that, let me introduce you to Jermaine Burton, the guy who, in my opinion, was the best wide receiver at Alabama last year. At his last year at Alabama, he had 798 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 39 catches. Nothing just mind-blowing, but at the same time, if you watched Alabama games, you can clearly see he was the best wide receiver on the field. On top of that, he had some games where he went off and showed that he can contribute to a team. And in this role that he's going to be placed in with the Cincinnati Bengals, he will not necessarily have to do anything, especially playing beside Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. He will see his opportunities in a similar fashion to Tyler Boyd, who went and signed with the Tennessee Titans. And so I think he is a sleeper pick and a great value pick in the 3rd round. And touching on his teammate in Jamar Chase real quick, he is a guy who is coming off of a 1,216 yard receiving season, along with 100 receptions and 7 touchdowns. And this team obviously has enough offensive talent that if everything aligns the way that they want it to, they can capture a NFL championship, because there is no reason why this offense should not be top 5 in the NFL this coming season. The Bengals have a new OC in Dan Pitcher, who was promoted from the QB coach, so that transition in terms of cohesion and chemistry between him and Joe Burrow should already be there. The other side of the ball is a bigger question mark. Last year, the Bengals ranked 24th in total defense, 28th in pass defense, 26th in rushing defense, and this could be a problem down the line. They did address some positions on the defense side of the ball, so we will see if all of that will pay off, and time will tell. And yes, in today's NFL, a great offense can win you some games and potentially win you a championship, but as we have seen time and time again, especially in the playoffs, defense is going to be needed, especially in key moments. Will the Bengals defensively be able to deliver on those moments? It's going to be interesting to see, and I am excited for it because the offense should be able to carry their weight. It's an offense that I expect to be one of the best in the league. Joe Burrow is looking like he is recovering well from his injury, and it's only one question mark surrounding his team that can potentially put them out of the playoff picture entirely, and that is, of course, the health of Joe Burrow. The last 2 times Joe Burrow was able to finish the season, we saw him make a Super Bowl appearance, and the following year after that, he made the AFC Championship game. Last season, he had 2,309 passing yards with 15 touchdowns and 6 interceptions in a season that ended in injury. However, 2 years ago, he had 4,475 passing yards, 35 passing touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. Clearly one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And when you have a top-tier QB that is surrounded by top-tier talent, you will always have a chance if the defense can hold up and if the offensive line improves to help decrease the chance of him getting hurt this season. Joe Burrow and the Bengals will once again find themselves in position to contend for a Super Bowl, in my personal opinion. Joe Burrow has been in position to take that next step into greatness for the past few seasons now, and he is still early in his career. Will this finally be the season for the Cincinnati Bengals? So let me know down below. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like, comment, and also subscribe.